popular on YouTube, like in the last year.
Okay.
Has like we mentioned him before, but it's like Kevin Samuels, right?
He makes me itch.
Or people, in particular men, who have really come after women and saying, well, what's highly desirable or what's attractive to men so you can get a high quality man. And half the time I feel like they're trying to talk about themselves, and I'd be like, child, who wants you?
Nobody wants you.
And that's not towards Kevin Samuels in particular,
No,
but a lot of the people.
Let me stop. We give shadow band or something.
But it's for a lot of the people on YouTube who have these conversations. So I think it's very important that we have a conversation about what is 7 traits, or we're going to do 7, but traits that are desirable for a man, because you know, we have talked about dating on here. That's part of our, I would say, like pillars. I can't think of another word. It's to help prepare our sisters for healthy relationships.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of the Sisterhood Debrief, where we discuss all things sisterly, godly,
and ratchet.
Okay.
What's up, y'all?
Hey,
Welcome back to another week
with
us. I feel like it's been a minute, but maybe it hasn't.
It really hasn't. It's just been a week.
It's been a week, but also like this year is over.
How did it get to the end of 2021?
Yeah, it is like freaking November. It's November, December. I'm saying no, my mind is in December because there's a lot of things happening there too. But it's November.
Yeah, like we're in the last 60 days of the year.
What are we doing? I saw a post the other day and it was like, don't let people feel like if you're not doing nothing in the last
60 days
of the year. Did you post that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, somebody else did. And I was like, they were like, if you're resting, if you're engaging in self-care,
that's something people said in 2020.
Is it?
Yeah. I don't feel bad. This year's been tough. And they said, I think the same things this year too. Like, don't be feel bad. 2021 has been rough. 2021 has probably been rougher for me than 2020.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I feel like it was like work. I feel like I'm entering a season of, I know God is telling me to move and I'm not ready to. Like, for personal comfort reasons. It's like I'm used to my job, but I know God is showing me over and over again that it is time to move on to other things. And so that's always uncomfortable when God's literally pushing you at this point.
Yeah.
And knowing you have to move before he forces it. Because I ain't trying to get fired.
Listen, I have been on a job where in my mind it was like create an exit plan. I'm not gonna say God was telling me to, but then ultimately it was like I was forced out. Yeah. And it still worked out, but
God probably was.
It was just like you were comfortable, even though the place is toxic, or even though it's not good for your mental, emotional health, or you just, God wants to put you in a position where you can be grown and developed, or even, see some increase. Yeah. But because you're comfortable, it's just like, it's too much work to try to find another job.
Y'all, it's just applying for jobs is just, it probably took me a whole month to just redo my resume because I have not had to do a real resume in over 8 years. And like our internal resume, like it kind of automatically updates when you get a new job. So it like plugs it in for you in our internal system. So to write like an external resume and go back, like, what did I do in this position? What did I do in this position? Yeah. How can I write this so somebody can take a chance on me? Because I'm trying to switch. I want to stay in insurance, but I want to switch what type of insurance I do. I want to move into more specialized insurance. Okay. So, like, somebody hired me because I'm trying to do aviation insurance or marine.
You fancy.
That's my thinking.
Oh my God, aviation, Marines.
Ooh. Yeah,
Marines, like not service, but like boats and things like that.
The watercraft or cyber insurance.
Yeah.
So your boats or cyber insurance, which is helping people with your companies will buy it and they experience data breaches. It provides them a level of protection if they have to pay people.
You're trying to get paid. Okay, so me, I just want to leave one industry and go into the one that I'm most passionate about. My money is probably gonna decline, actually, but no, that's really cool. I mean, people, we don't talk a lot about those like different industries, like even how we talked about like Amber, your sister, being in like the hospitality industry. We don't teach kids about like options in insurance and things of that nature, even cybersecurity, because you mentioned that. But those are like really lucrative areas to work in.
Yeah. I talk about all the time, like in the state of Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
it's only one school that even offers like a risk management or insurance degree, which is UGA.
Mm-hmm.
And one, people don't think about insurance, even though everybody has to have it.
Right. Like no options.
Yeah, like every person, every business, like literally it's a federal requirement, state requirement everywhere. So insurance is going to be around forever. It's not going anywhere. I mean, if you live in Atlanta, then you know car accidents happen every day.
And because people in Atlanta stay getting in car accidents, my insurance goes up whether I'm in accidents or not. Every year. I'm like, why did my premium go up? Well, because you live in such a high traffic area. Really?
And we're in that subset of group. We're in that
age group.
Yeah, age group. You know, gender group that is involved in lots of accidents. So we're at higher risk. I guess I love being a middle-aged African American woman.
Well, I hope 2021 ends on a good note for you and everybody else. Yeah. And 2022 brings all the stuff that you know you're supposed to, what God be calling you to do.
I know, right? Honey. I gotta move though.
Yeah. I feel you. Well, keep us on the prayer list. Me for just getting out of my regular job, and then Alex needs to just listen to the Lord. But okay, so would you rather question? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I think
this is kind of a funny, weird, but like a real one. Like, would you rather know all foreign languages?
Okay.
Or have the ability to talk to animals?
In my mind, I'm saying all the 4 languages because business would be booming. Because I would just be a translator.
Obviously,
I would just be like, oh yeah, I can do business anywhere. I can translate for anybody everywhere. Like the most remote language, I can translate for you.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to be able to talk to animals too. Like you see a dog coming,
stop! Don't hurt me.
Yeah, because it might go. I just think of Dr. Dolittle. Like them animals were so confused.
They were confused, but I feel like I would be freaked out. Like if they responded, like talking to them is one thing, and them like physically reacting to your voice.
Yeah,
because I mean, I talk to Charlie, my dog, all the time, and he listens and he does it with. But if he like started talking back to me, I would be so freaked out. I don't even know how to even take that.
Yeah, I can imagine. So, it would be much like Dr. Dolittle.
I'm thinking about the money, honey. I would love to speak all foreign languages. Now, the question is, do I have to work to learn them, or am I innately blessed?
I'll wake up one day
with the opportunity.
I would hope that you wake up one day and you just know them.
I took 6 years of Spanish and still can barely hold a conversation.
Definitely not on conversation level. I can understand some things. I'm like, oh, okay.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Estoy bien? ¿Y tú? Oh, I see. I don't even know.
Like, can you slow down just a little bit?
Yes.
Talking a little too fast. I caught some of those words, but none of that makes sense anymore.
Because you slow down or write it. If you're not going to slow down and say the words and enunciate,
and properly conjugate, use no slang,
then write it down so I can take the time and read it. Because that's one thing I was always good at. I can read it and then I can translate it on paper. I can also like speak it if it's on paper. Yeah. Don't ask me if I know what I'm saying though, if I'm saying it out loud. But if I take a minute to look at it on paper, I'm good. It's real weird. But I think that's because of how we were taught.
Yeah, I think it is how you're taught.
Because when we were in Spanish class in high school, everything, we never had to like conversate. Oh, I hate that word that y'all done made a part of the English vernacular.
Yeah, I didn't make that word up.
We had to converse. Yeah. We never had to do that. Like we never like talked to each other. Nope. All of our tests were written. And we never had to do oral presentations either.
Yeah. The most oral we ever did was, I just remember watching Shrek a lot.
And Selena.
Oh, and Selena. But senior year Spanish.
Shrek. In Spanish?
Yes, we watched.
We did that.
Yeah, but let me tell you, senior year in Spanish, I was hardly in Spanish. I used to get a pass.
I told Chris that the other day.
I was like, I wasn't even there. I was like, I get a pass to go to the counseling office. She was like, I'll be straight to the counseling office.
I was like,
I have a picture. It's like us and like 5 or 6 of our other classmates literally sitting outside the counseling office our senior year, chilling.
Never
ain't in nobody class. That's so sad.
Is it though? Because we all graduated top 10.
We did.
Did we need to be in class? No.
Probably could help learn Spanish.
We probably could have helped with learning. It probably would have helped with learning Spanish.
Yeah.
But we still passed. So
yeah, and then I picked a degree that didn't require a foreign language to graduate.
Did you?
I did.
I thought all degrees required at least
just
one foreign language.
We had to take,
Child,
if you are a science major, if you got a BS, a bachelor's of science, which is what they deemed as criminal justice, don't know why it's a bachelor of science versus a bachelor of arts, you didn't have to take Spanish, you had to take statistics.
Oh no, that makes sense, because so I started off with a BA. So I got a BA in journalism and a BS in psychology, and when I added psychology, they made me take stats, and I almost failed that class. I still don't know how to do statistics.
Yeah,
don't ask me to do no research.
I had to take stat. I didn't have to take a foreign language.
That makes sense. So I guess because I did
BA first.
Yep, I had to do both.
Yeah.
Well, that was funny. But yeah, I'm learning all the languages because Mandarin, please. Who 6, 7, 8 figures just because I know how to speak to the Asian people?
I think that is like after Spanish at work, I probably use a translator most for Mandarin.
Really? Wow, that's interesting.
Yep, after Spanish.
Okay.
Well, so I think like if a man spoke Spanish, that would be attractive.
Well, Chris speaks Spanish.
He does. Chris, I think, did he speak Spanish in y'all vows?
Either he did or I did, and that was something that we had going on at the time. But when we went to Spain, he had a whole conversation with this guy at the restaurant. And I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of
like, yeah, that's attractive."
But no, he is conversationally fluent in Spanish.
That's really good.
He sometimes he has some, breakdowns and stuff, but he studied abroad in Spain and in Portugal. So he knows some Portuguese as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool.
It's like, okay, you better be smart because me over here struggling.
One of us can know this.
One of us got to know something.
Don't take advantage of us. That'd be my biggest thing about traveling abroad, really. It's like, I don't want to get taken advantage of. So it would be nice to know what they're saying.
Yep. Okay. That was cool. So we ain't talking to animals because we don't want them to talk back.
Yeah, we don't.
And we want to make money because we got all the languages down pat.
Yep. No, all the languages.
What we talking about today?
So today, so I love YouTube. I watch YouTube a lot.
She does. I don't.
I watch YouTube.
Love y'all though. Love y'all YouTubers.
I love YouTube. I watch more YouTube than I watch TV. I love getting other people's opinions. I love hearing how other people think, because I want to know. It's easy to get stuck in how you think, because most of the time your friends are surrounded by people who think very similar to you because y'all live in the same probably geographical area. So it's just
similar background.
Just very similar, right? So I watch a lot of YouTube to get other people's opinions, to learn new skills, all that kind of stuff. And something that's very popular on YouTube, like in the last year, has we mentioned him before. But it's like Kevin Samuels, right?
He makes me itch.
Or people, in particular men, who have really come after women and saying, well, what's highly desirable or what's attractive to men so you can get a high quality man. And half the time I feel like they're trying to talk about themselves, and I'm like, child, who wants you?
Nobody wants you.
And that's not towards Kevin Samuels in particular, but a lot of the people.
Let me stop. Give shadow band or something.
But it's for a lot of the people on YouTube who have these conversations. So I think it's very important that we have a conversation about what is 7 traits, or we're going to do 7, but traits that are desirable for men, because we have talked about dating on here. That's part of our, I would say, like pillars. I can't think of another word. Is to help prepare our sisters for healthy relationships. Yeah. And that's knowing just it's okay, don't settle, and to know what traits are like highly desirable, because if you don't know, if you've never been exposed, then it's easy to settle for anything. Yeah. Or take someone's face value or their word without actions as like truth. And sometimes, through life we learn that just because somebody says something, if their actions shows you something different, I personally would go with what their actions are showing me. Right. Because sometimes words don't mean nothing. So we're gonna go through our list.
7 traits of a highly desirable man.
Yes.
Dun dun dun.
Y'all
See
ready?
if you on this list. I'm joking. They're gonna be like, why she so aggressive? She the married one.
That's why she can be aggressive, to be honest, because I feel like, you know,
at this point, I'm not coming back out into the wild.
Not the wild.
I can't. Okay, so our first one is he has to be God-fearing.
Obviously.
I was hesitant because I know everybody's like, oh, here we go with the churchy, da 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 da. But that's what I mean. My thing is,
that's the basis of our platform.
That first of all, number one. So if you're on here,
you're not gonna take God out of anything.
Sisterly, godly.
What's that real? If don't bring nothing to me because I'm gonna put God in. If you don't want Jesus in it,
if you don't come to me, don't ask me. Because did you pray about it? Did you open your Bible?
It's about Jesus over here, okay?
And it got to be because when it wasn't, it was real ghetto and ratchet over here. So, but I personally feel like that's the foundation for everything. If I have to look back on every relationship I've been in, which is few, I've talked to a lot of guys, but prior to getting married, I have 3 very distinct relationships that I spent a lot of time in my adolescence and young adulthood. And the starkest difference by far is the fact that the person that I ended up with, married to, had a Christian, faith-based, biblical foundation.
Right.
Does it mean he's perfect, doing all of the right things? No. But was he the first man to ever pray for me, over me? Absolutely. First person to open his Bible when I had like some spiritual stuff happening in my life. Yes. And like that's stuff that you don't really see that much or get the opportunity to see that much when you're dating different people. So that's why that would be number 1 for me.
Yeah, I agree. God-fearing is important, but it's not the end all be all. Just be like, oh, just because he's a God-fearing man, he gotta be it. No, it's other things too. So I'm throwing that out there. Because I've been like Brittany, I haven't been in a lot of relationships. But every relationship I've been in has been like long term, to be honest. And 2 of them, I would say, were probably more religious, biblical based than the other. One of them was still super trash. Like, we can't open the Bible and then have the thing.
Sir. Okay.
And y'all can guess who that is, because anyway. And then the other one, he still like dabbled in what I would now that I've learned it, would be way more occult stuff.
Okay.
Like witchery type stuff. And now I look back, I was like, that was not of the Lord. But he went to church and he still prayed over me and he did all those things.
Marry the 2.
Yeah, and they do. Yeah. Like, and you have to understand what you're dealing with that. And sometimes you don't know. Like I said, I didn't know at the time. Like the dangers of stuff like that. But so I'm saying that to all this to say that just because he's God-fearing, just because he goes to church, just because he serves in church, does not just automatically make him a highly desirable. Yeah. Because there's more to a person than just this one facet. Just like there's more to you than just loving the Lord. And like that goes on to say, add on, like, and don't let somebody just say I'm spiritual and things like that.
Please don't.
First of all,
demons, that's a red flag
to me. Spiritual what spirits you talking to? Because demons are spirits too, so I need to know what spirits you're dealing with, because it makes a difference. Because honestly, we get real biblical, spirits are just looking for some level of vacancy to attach themselves to. So you could start dealing with stuff that you had no idea you was about to walk into, and then you wonder why you're depressed or dealing with some form of addiction or depressive thoughts or anxiety. And it's like, who have you connected yourself with and allowed some of those spirits to come into your space? And now you're gonna have to do the work to get yourself delivered. So we gotta make sure that he's God-fearing, that he has a true relationship with the Lord, because also just because he goes to church don't mean anything either. There's trash people go to church. So make sure he actually has a real relationship with God. He's praying that that you pray too. so that you can really hear the Lord and have a clear, sound mind when you're making decisions.
Yeah, definitely God fearing.
Yeah.
After that, because that's the foundation, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
like this is bare minimum. This is not what puts him over the top. No. God fearing is you coming up to me saying, hey, how you doing? You look beautiful today. Can I have your number? Sorry for the people who don't believe in stuff like that. But not that I'm going to ask you literally like, hi, I'm Brittany. Are you God fearing? No. But that is one of the first things that I'm going to look for. Yeah. You know, after we maybe start talking, get to know each other. I'm about to say conversate again. Y'all are evil. Oh my gosh, I hate that word so much. But after we begin to converse and talk and stuff like that, I need God to come up in one of our first few conversations. Yep. And I need it to come up in a way that will lead into like conversations about, oh, so you're a man of God. Like, what does that mean for you? You know, how does God orchestrate your life? What is his role in your life right now? Yeah. Because I mean, I just feel like if that's not an integral part of your life, then how can you lead me as a potential, you know, long-term relationship or in a marriage, and guide me and then our children? Again, everybody doesn't think that far ahead because that's like the narrative now. Like, we don't meet people or talk to people and immediately think of marriage. Sorry.
I mean, if that's your intention, you might not marry that person, but knowing that your desires today.
And I know that's not like a thing nowadays where people are dating for like marriage or you don't go into it immediately thinking about marriage. Yeah. But if that's your goal,
then that's what you should be thinking about.
Yeah. So
honestly, it's not like gonna be like I'm gonna marry this person, but I do desire to be married, so I'm dating with intention.
Yeah, and it keeps you from going off path. Yeah. Like if I know that it is important for the person that I end up with to have a genuine, authentic relationship with God, then I'm not going to get sidetracked by how he looks, even how he treats me. I don't care if he treats you like the queen of, you know, whoever. Right. If there's no God in that, it doesn't matter.
Right. If that's not what you want.
If that's not what you want.
Because really just wasting your time and setting yourself up for heartache.
Right.
Been there, done that.
Absolutely. Whole relationship where somebody decided to be a whole different religion. I'm about to lose my religion trying to be with them. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Anyway, number two.
Yes, number two, which is super important. I think it's like multifaceted. The second one, it's important that he has a growth mindset. That because no one's stagnant. Nobody wants to be stagnant in life. And it's nothing worse than you being goal-driven, you wanting to grow and feeling like you're dragging your partner with you. Yeah. Like nobody wants to deal with that their whole life. Like you feel like you're dragging somebody behind you just to do the bare minimum things.
And not dealing with it.
Yeah, like that's not attractive. Number one.
I feel like most women are ambitious too, though. So it's women are very ambitious, and it's not like there's no end goal. There's nothing that's good enough. But when we're thinking about, you know, achieving goals and establishing like a legacy for, you know, ourselves, our families, whatever, we do want somebody to match that energy. So to get with a loser, as my mother would say, because everybody before Chris was a loser. Sorry if y'all happen to watch the podcast. I don't think y'all do. But but it's like when you find yourself with someone who's not on the same wavelength. Yeah. Like I'm out here, I'm grinding, you know, I'm working towards something, I'm getting my education, because that's a huge disparity too when you're thinking about, you know, women who have higher levels of education. Yeah. Not to say that a man who is maybe more into a trade cannot still be on that same level, but there has to be something that matches up between the two. So if I'm getting up out of bed at 7:00 and working on this craft, that craft, going to a job, trying to climb the corporate ladder, what exactly are you doing if you're still in bed at noontime? Yeah. You know, are simple things like you want this thing to happen, but you're not doing anything to make it happen.
Yeah, like you just keep setting your goals over and over again. You definitely, I think it's important to be goal driven, to be like, okay, these are my goals and this is my plan. Right. But then what action steps are you taking to reach those? Like, it's cool just to have it written down or in your mind or whatever. But if you're not actually doing something about it, you're wasting my time and yours.
Absolutely. And when I think of growth mindset, I think back to like my time in education. So we teach kids that growth mindset literally is coming up against something that is challenging and making a choice to overcome it, to show some level of conviction, problem solving skills. Like, okay, so I really wanted to get into medical school. I'm gonna have to use Chris for this, my husband, because this is like the closest example that I have of a man doing something more, because I had to learn that it was okay for him to grind as hard as he did. But this man applied for medical school, took the MCAT like 5 times and failed. So that's a growth mindset, because he could have easily been like,
this ain't for me.
It's not for me. And at one point in time, I was like, so if it's not gonna work out, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna go like teach? Because that was really all he could do with the degree that he had. He needed medical school in order to achieve the goal that he wanted to achieve. And he was like, no, like, I am going to reapply. I'm going to take the test again. I'm going to study again. And for me, that showed me how not to be stagnant, because again, as the man, he's leading and setting the foundation for what it looks like for us to move forward as a family. But absolutely, like, fall down 7 times, get up 8, which really doesn't make sense, because you fall down 7 times, you got to get up 7 times. But
no, because I guess it's because you be standing 8, because you would be like standing first and then fall. I don't know. But
either way, keep getting up. Like, there, if you have a goal, go after that goal. Don't just sit there and talk. Like, what do they call the guys who are like dreamers? There's a name that the older generation would call people who just were like, they just dream. They have dreams.
They don't go after,
and they don't do anything to actually achieve them. That is not a highly desirable man.
That's not.
It's not. The one who gets up, does the work, does the research, makes the connections, fails a few times, continues to try. Like, those are the kind of men that women do seek after, because it shows that even in a relationship, if you come up against something that's tough, you have the capacity to take it on, deal with it, and problem solve to make it better. So
problem solving includes knowing when to pivot and when to be like, no, I can do this, because we're not gonna be like, I'm trying to be a rapper and we're 45. Well, first of all, I wasn't that a rapper.
A growth mindset for realistic goals.
But it's knowing when to pivot, to knowing, being like, okay, like, even for me now, like, being in my job, and it's like, okay, I know what my end goal is if I stay in corporate America, if I stay in insurance, I'm going to be in upper level management. That will be my end goal there, right? It's not happening at the company I'm at for several different reasons. Okay, it's time for me to pivot. Where do I want to pivot to? How can I effectively pivot, instead of just being like, well, these the cards I was still, I'm just gonna sit out here. Like, no, okay, how do we move forward? How do we bounce back from this? How do we change direction if need be, to keep moving forward towards whatever that goal is or whatever we desire, or know when to change that end goal to something else. If life happens, we all grow, we might find new things we desire to do, or new passions, and like, I really want to do this now, and not a fleeting thing though, not like, he got a new thing every month,
right?
But like truly a passion that he's shown like real interest in, and
you're gifted for it. You're
gifted
like,
that he can easily pivot into. I think that's very desirable. Someone who is always not necessarily hustle mindset, but like kind of hustle mindset. Like going after what he wants, what he desires.
Absolutely. Having a good balance of, doing the work and putting in, the action steps for this particular goal, but also understanding the meaning of like self-care and rest. So there is a balance there.
A balance.
We ain't talking about the dude who just 24/7, wake up when it's time to go to sleep and sleep never when he dead type of dude. Like, that's not it.
We already talked about that before.
We are not doing that. But I think that also kind of ties into a little bit into the next trait.
It does.
It's like, okay, so why are you doing these things? So it's always awesome to do, have these goals and try to achieve things for yourself. But it's even more amazing, and what makes a man really, really desirable is when you know that he's establishing the legacy for his family. So the third highly desirable trait of a male would be being family oriented.
Yeah.
Taking care of your family, loving your family.
There's nothing more attractive than seeing a man be like all cutesy with a little kid. You be like, I want to have your baby.
It is so cute. And I think that's because women are automatically like considered the nurturers.
Yeah.
Like it's our responsibility. We carry the kids. We feed the children using our bodies if we choose to do so. Yeah. Like we're the ones who are typically always
maybe
with
it's like
them.
we carry the burden. Yeah.
Yeah. And then men are stereotypically known to kind of be more, oh, I'm just gonna make sure I go to work so they got food to eat. Right. And there's not really a balance there. But when you see a man who's like holding the baby, feeding the baby, or like when the babies get older and they're like, holding them up and like, going places and making time for them. Like a man who would take off of work, though we want him to be goal oriented and goal driven and have a growth mindset. A man who will take off of work so that he can make sure he's at his child's like game, recital. Not everyone specifically, but like just a few things where you are showing up for your children. Yeah. That is the sexiest thing like ever for me, for sure. Because I'm like, okay, you're willing to sacrifice a PTO day or maybe losing money that day to be here for your kids. But I think even beyond kids, like how do you treat your mama?
Definitely how you treat the people closest to you. How do you treat the people closest to you? Because I think it just says a lot about it. You can't say I love this person and you treat them like trash, because you're not about to treat me like trash. So not gonna happen. Yeah.
Where are you making time for, like, I don't know, what does family time look like for you? Are you going home on the holidays? It kind of goes back to the conversation surrounding like friends who don't have long-term relationship friends. Yeah. If I were dating a guy and they never were visiting their parents or talking to their parents on the phone, then there would be questions. And I know that there are different circumstances, of course. Maybe you're orphaned, maybe you are adopted, maybe there's things that you just kind of have trauma or things with your family, but that also goes into another highly desirable trait that we'll talk about in a second. But there should be some level of commitment to family, even if it's because you've had such a traumatic experience growing up that you now want to break that generational curse or cycle with whoever you choose to end up with in a relationship.
And not even just, maybe for whatever reason your best friend's family has become your family. Yeah. Like, what is your relationship with your elders, to be honest? Like the people you look up to, the people who are guiding you. That is important. Yeah. Because my family is important to me. I'll say that. My family is very important to me. I spend a lot of time with my family. Yeah. I don't want it to ever feel it's easier for someone to understand when they've been in those shoes, for them not to like question, like, why do you do this? Why you spend so much time with them? Yeah. What does that look like? I mean, we see it with my sister now. It's kind of hard when both of y'all are super family oriented. Because we be like, you went to dinner with them last week. Y'all better eat dinner with us today. Yeah. But like watching her relationship with her fiance, it's like beautiful how both of them are very much family oriented. They love their families. And I know it's hard for them to split their time between the both of us. Yeah. His family and our family. So they do a lot of joint things. Yeah.
That can be challenging, but then you find a way to make it work because, again, the family is important. Yeah. And the joint part of it is probably the most beautiful thing ever, because now you found a way to bring the two things that you love the most into this new established entity. Right. And because I definitely was checking out both mamas at the bridal shower, and I was like, this is so cool, like mother-in-laws who are getting along and not being catty and not coming for each other. I love that. So family oriented is definitely a must, whatever that looks like for you, because again, it's like you could have, for me, I didn't grow up with my family being super cohesive. There's a lot of traumatic things that happened in my family from the time I was little until literally me and Chris coming together in a marriage. So his family was super tight knit, a lot larger than mine, whereas mine was a little bit smaller, and we didn't always spend a lot of time together. So some of the dynamics took some time to get used to. So even if there's like separation or some trauma there, the willingness and openness to develop a more family oriented mindset is still highly desirable. Yeah. Being shut off and saying, why you spend so much time with your family, or why you always at your sister's house, or, I don't want no kids because the way I grew up, I ain't like the way my parents treated me, and I don't want to do that to my children. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's your right, but you are not it for me. Yeah. Because I'm going to have children, and I'm just going to learn from the things that my parents might have done with me that I did not like or did not do well with or respond well with. And I'm going to change that, for the next generation. So that openness and willingness is super important. Yeah. Which flows into the next one, which is willingness to openly communicate. Child. So communication in any relationship is highly important. And love has nothing to do with it. Yeah, love has nothing to do with it. At this point, if your communication sucks, it's horrible. It's because you need communication in everything. Work, family, friends, all of it. Everything, anytime you're dealing with another human, you're going to need communication, effective communication, open communication. That is how you effectively problem solve, which we previously mentioned. That is how you discuss, like maybe you both, one or both of you guys have gone through something traumatic with your family, and how we navigate this newness. But communication is like, he has to be able to openly communicate with you, not shut you out. And all of us deal with things differently when they first happen. So I think there is some respect in saying, and processing a situation. Like we're having an argument, like, look, I need to step away. That's fine. That's not him saying he's not open to communication, because actually he communicated that he needs to step away before the situation escalated even further. Exactly. But if he never wants to come back to the conversation, then that is the issue. He should at some point want to circle back around so you guys can find a solution to whatever the situation is, or be like, look, let's agree to disagree, or whatever, however you want to come to a solution amongst y'all, whatever the situation is. Yeah. Communication is the bare minimum, up there with being God-fearing. Yeah, pretty much. Because just being able to say how you feel or share your feelings or your thoughts or opinions with somebody is important. But then there is like a step up, because effective communication is very different from just generally communicating. Especially in a relationship, you have to figure out the best way to communicate with the person that you're with, so that they receive what you're trying to say. Because otherwise, people get very defensive, they shut down, things of that nature. But in alignment with that, a lot of us go into relationships, I'm gonna say us because I think women in general do this, go into relationships expecting that the person in that relationship is supposed to read our minds. But what I've learned since being married is also guys tend to have that same mindset. They think we're supposed to know what they need and what they want without them telling us. And ironically enough, will come back at us and say, I can't read your mind. Like you expect me to read your mind. So on both ends, with both genders, on both, parts of the spectrums of the relationship, like communication is severely important. I'm talking about communication down to how you like certain foods cooked. Like who is going to do certain things around the house if y'all are that far into the relationship and y'all are spending that much time together. How do you like to be loved on? Some people don't like to be touched. Some people prefer to be touched. Some people don't like PDA. Some people prefer it. Let's talk about our childhood traumas. If you are dating somebody and you've been together for a while and you don't understand why they behave a certain way in certain instances, there is likely some trauma there. Have we had a conversation about that? And is he willing to actually open up and discuss it with you? If not, is he open to going to see a therapist? Because if you're not going to share it with me, it has to be shared with somebody who can give you some tangible solutions on how to fix it, so that we don't miss out on the beauty that this relationship could be. Because you're always shutting down, or you're always walking off, or you're always avoiding conflict because you don't know how to handle it due to whatever you've experienced in your past. We can go on about communication because
it's such a big topic.
It is. A lot of men don't like to talk. And knowing when is the best time to talk, and that comes with a relationship
as you grow and get to know the person beyond what they tell you. But in the beginning stages, I feel like that's when you're the most excited. So if he's not willing to communicate in those first few months, to me, that would be a red flag, because that's normally when people are the most open. That's when you spend the most time talking, because you're just the most excited about this new relationship. Yeah. So if he's just like shuts down about everything, only wants to ask you questions, never wants to answer questions, is not willing to go deep. Like sometimes it's like he'll communicate, but only on surface level stuff. But he's never willing to have a deep conversation. And y'all 2-3 months in, for me, that would be like something like, okay, what's here? Why do you not feel like you can open up? Because maybe it's just something there that he doesn't feel comfortable with. Yeah. Or he just doesn't know how to. Yeah. Which if he desires to do it, I think that's great. And that's something that can be worked on. But if he has no desire to ever become and to have open communication, that would be a red flag. Because some people never had to do it before. So they'd be like, I don't even know how to do this. I don't know how to feel comfortable doing it because it's something new. But as long as but I want to do it. So I feel like there's always that willingness to learn, the willingness to grow, go back to the growth mindset. That's always like desirable. Like, okay, we could work through this. But if he's just like a brick wall, nah. Yep.
Because a lot of times, I mean, I've heard men say, we didn't talk about my feelings in my household. Yeah. And when I'm counseling, some of my therapy clients are doing, a lot of times it's the premarital counseling that I'm doing with couples. And we're talking about communication. That's one of the main reasons that comes up. Growing up, their parents did not ask them about their feelings, did not ask them how they felt about anything. If they were crying, it was a stop all that crying before I give you something to cry about. Yeah. And that was probably on both ends, you know. Well, but my mama said it. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten that too. But I feel like as women, we are more open because we feel like if we don't get it out, we're gonna probably tear some stuff up. But for men, they learn to really cope with the fact that, hey, I, as a man, what defines a man is keeping all those feelings and those emotions to myself, because letting it out, crying, complaining, anything like that, sharing personal stuff is not manly. Yeah, it's not. That's, I think. So, and I'm glad that we are finally reaching a place in society where we have moved away from that. Because we see that it's not healthy. There's so many things that older generations dealt with privately, men, because they didn't feel like it was okay for them to open up. Yeah. So I'm glad we're moving away from that. So, but that goes to like our next one, which is number 5, which is honesty. Why you always lying? Like, this is another one to say it's a foundational thing. Oh, I hate to say that, but I mean, come on. Just tell the truth. 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 That's in every aspect. That's just not like, some deep, like cheating stuff. But honestly, how do you feel about me? Right. Honestly, that what is part, especially in the beginning. Like, honestly, tell me how you feel, because I don't want to be dragged along. And I'd rather a man tell me straight up in the beginning, whether what he's really looking for. Just don't tell me what you want me to hear. Like, what are you really looking for? Like, look, I do want to be married at some point in the future, but I don't see that happen for another 5 to 10 years. Therefore, I can make a decision that I may or may not want to continue this because I have a desire to get married before then. Right. Or I don't see myself really getting married, or having children, or you're cool, but I don't know if I necessarily see something romantic with you. Yeah. Like, you need a man who's just not going to tell you what you want to hear. You need a man who's going to really be honest and truthful with you, because that's what you deserve. If you say, do I look fat in this dress? He should tell you whether or not the dress looks nice on you. And that is that's a personal thing, because I used to ask Chris that question all the time, and he would tell me the truth, and I wasn't ready. Yeah, like I was like, but now don't be asking questions. You done got a little thick, babe, but you still look good. Oh no, you just told me that this dress don't look good on me, and I'm offended now. But technically, I asked you the question. Yes, don't ask questions you're not ready to get an answer for. Right, that part, ladies, don't do that, because sometimes we want to know the truth, but if we really not fishing ready, for compliments, yeah, if you're not ready to hear the truth or ready to do something about it, I just believe that you just let it go till you're ready to. No, but seriously, like, get you somebody who is going to be honest with you. If something, you know, joke notwithstanding, if something doesn't look good on you, if the hairstyle isn't something that fits you or is becoming of you, if there's a particular behavior that you as a woman displays, there shouldn't be a dude who's with you that's gonna let you be out here looking crazy, and not tell you like, hey, that's not becoming of you. Like, I know you're better than that. I feel like you can, you know, like you could have took the high road. Like, that correction out of love, not out of a controlling standpoint, trying to tell you what to do, but out of love and respect for who you are is extremely attractive. And a lot of men shy away from that. And I'm gonna be honest, because I feel like this kind of will shift the conversation a little bit, because as women, a lot of times we will shut men down for sharing on that level of honesty with us. If they're telling us like what they like, what they would like to see us in, or what our hair could look like, we can become offended because we think they're trying to like tell us what to do, how to dress, what to look like, or even when it comes to like our behavior in public, because I know there have been times in public where I have popped off, said something that, you know, maybe I normally wouldn't say because somebody really, you know, upset me, and then come back home and my husband's like, you could have handled that better. And now I'm popping off at him like, no, because this person did da 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 da. But the reality is he knows me. He knows who I should be. He knows who the representative that most of us will put on for a man until we get mad. Like, that's who they have come to know us as. And that's who they love. That's the potential that they see to be like this, you know, woman who can go out and carry herself well until somebody makes us mad, and they're gently correcting that, and we can take offense to that. So it will shut a man down if I'm like, you don't get to tell me how to do this, what to do with that, or, you know, how to act in public. But the reality is, if you're in this relationship for the long haul, that man is your covering. It is absolutely his responsibility and his place to kind of give you feedback on things that you may not be doing that are appropriate. And that's where honesty comes in. It can be misconstrued as controlling or, you know,
unnecessary criticism.
Criticism. But it's honest, and you have to be open to that. You have to be willing to receive that. You have to be willing to grow from that, or you're gonna get somebody who's steady lying to you, telling you that certain things are okay, are telling you that they like certain things, and that's not necessarily their truth.
Or they don't say anything.
That part, because that could be even worse. They just don't say nothing at all.
They just don't open up. Because what you were saying makes me really think back to like my mom. My mom was very much like, when you leave this house, you're representative of me. And that's what happens when you're in a relationship. You become representative of each other. You get married, you become representative of your family. So it's like, okay, now if I like how, like you said, Chris corrected you when you got home. Like, I think it's one thing when you correct me in public, like, back up before you get this fire too. But I think like having a conversation at home or in the car, like especially when things have calmed down, and you'll be receptive, and he's like very aware. It's like, I think that's healthy, and that we should be open to that,
because he knows. Don't correct me in public, because you about to get this too.
Like, don't do that.
But no, and I think that's how, even on like our jobs, like, who wants their boss to come and berate them in front of the other entire people. Staff? Take me into your office. Like, as an educator, I've always appreciated principals who will have the parent come in their office, blow up about something that I have done, and then when they bring me into the office with that parent, they stand by me. Even if they don't agree with what I did, they support me. And then as soon as that parent leaves, okay, now Miss Jackson, you know, this is what could have happened. This is what should have happened. Let it be clear that I support you, and I'm going to make sure the parent knows that. But like, it's the same thing, correction, because they want to see you, number one, represent us well. Number two, I know you can do and be better. Number three, like, I love you, you know, and if I didn't love you, I would just let you be out here looking crazy.
And I probably wouldn't be with you.
That part. So with that, like, accept honesty for what it is. I think it's also important to, you know, that as women, we can communicate how we receive honesty, because, you know, y'all Virgos, y'all be real brutal, okay, And us emotionally aware Sagittarius sometimes can't take it.
I would say this. I dated a Gemini, and he would tell me all the time, he would be like, this is a moment where you don't have to be so honest.
Like so freaking,
because he would just ask me like simple things, like I don't know, just like random stuff that you could just like, oh, that's nice, or just stroke that ego. And I'll be so honest because it's who I am. I'm a very honest person.
And your brother.
I was like, I'm telling you how it is.
Yeah.
Like,
so it is important for like, I don't have to do it with you, but I definitely have to do it with Chris. Like, I have to tell him like, okay, you can be honest with me, but like say it in a way where I'm able to receive it and my feelings don't get hurt, because I'm a very emotionally driven person and my feelings will definitely get hurt. And I feel like you really don't like me, don't love me. And I'm going to say,
oh my gosh, yo,
not that serious, but
I'll be like, look,
I'm just
you
saying.
know my heart. I say this all the time. Like, you know my heart. If something comes off harsh, just know it's coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
And if I didn't care about you, I ain't saying nothing.
At this point, we know y'all at this point. But I'm just saying, especially in newer relationships.
Yeah, it can't come off like harsh.
It can be very harsh. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to teach the person how to, again, communicate with you and show you what needs to be shown without causing harm. And that's, most people. Which brings us to number 6.
Yes.
Emotional awareness.
Yes.
A man who is emotionally aware. Woo.
Yes.
Now, ladies, going to be honest, this might be one that you have to be willing to teach.
Yeah. Right? I feel like it goes back to what we said earlier, men not being taught how to open up and share their emotions. Yes. So it's hard for them to really be emotional aware, especially of their own emotions. I think it's easier for them to recognize yours. Yeah. But when to recognize their own, because they have suppressed it for so long.
Yeah. Teaching a man that being emotionally aware does not make them also emotional has probably been I would probably say one of the top 3 challenges in my own marriage. But it is once they get to that point, if they're not already there, once they get to that point, it's almost like they become like, I don't want to say Superman, because we just talked about Superwoman syndrome, but like they become like a Super Saiyan version of themselves. I don't know nothing about Dragon Ball Z or Pokemon and them things like that, but that's the only correlation that I have right now. Yeah. But then it's just it places them on like another level when you you can look at me and tell that something is wrong, whether you address it or not. You know something's wrong, and that allows you to move accordingly. Yeah. Not even with your partner, but we go back to being family oriented with your children, because I think one of the biggest damages that we can do to children is ignore the emotions that they have and chalk it up to, childlike behavior versus treating it like real, true, authentic emotions that are caused by different things in their environment or within themselves. Right. And a man who is able to tap into that and ask their children, like, how do you feel today? Why are you upset? Why are you crying? Versus that tough love kind of a parenting. I think that is like, I don't know.
Or knowing when to balance tough love with knowing that this is a conversation that needs to be had about why your child is acting that way. Because you just like, the moments. And that goes back to being emotionally aware and knowing your child's typical behavior and when something's a little off. You're like, okay, this isn't normal. Let's have a conversation about this. Versus the normal childlike stuff that you just be like, okay, now.
Absolutely.
But him being emotionally aware is it's going to help take your relationship to another level, because you guys will be able to do all the other things easier. You're going to be able to communicate easier when they're able to really be aware of how they truly feel and not just boil it down to I'm mad, angry, sad. Like, what is all that stemming from? It reminds me of that chart. I don't know what it's called in psychology, where it has like
the iceberg.
Oh, maybe.
Is it iceberg?
It's a circle. I don't know what it's called. It's a circle, and it gives you like on the outer ring, it says like angry, sad, happy. And then like when you come in, it has smaller pieces. Like I really feel like more specific of like how you feel.
Isolated.
Yeah. Alone. Things like that. Lonely. I think lonely might be on the outside, but like what this
Yeah.
What do you mean you feel lonely? Him like really tapping into those bigger words.
Yeah.
Those bigger emotions. I don't know if that's the right word, but tap into that and really being able to express how he feels.
Yeah.
And knowing when you may need some extra emotional support or whatever you need when you're feeling, going through things, because we all go through stuff in life.
Yeah.
And we all experience all emotions.
Being able to explain how you can support him through those things. Because I think that's another thing, because a lot of times, again, going back to some of the other behaviors that we've previously talked about already, men can shut down and will walk away. And a lot of times that doesn't work for women, because we automatically think abandonment or you're leaving or whatever. But if that's the space that they need, being able to understand him, being able to communicate that, number one,
communicate it,
but then being able to understand that and give it to him will truly like shift the dynamics of conflict in your relationship. So just really understanding like, okay, how can I tell my partner, my girlfriend, my wife, whatever, how she can support me when I'm feeling like a failure, when I'm feeling lost, when I'm feeling out of control, when I'm feeling, like I need space from her. What does that look like? Because if you don't communicate that to the woman, it's automatically going to be, oh, you don't ever want to talk. You don't, every time we have something going on, you shut down. Which is still something that I feel like women can work on as well. And allowing and creating safe spaces for men to feel like, well, they have big feelings and emotions too. Give them the space to share it. But at the same time, men can be helpful in that situation by openly communicating like, hey, today I am truly feeling exhausted, overwhelmed, overworked, and I just need to rest. I don't want to do nothing with the kids. I don't want to,
we all have those days.
like, and being able to communicate that and talk through it and create plans for it will literally shift the dynamics of the relationship.
It really will.
Yep. All right, number 7.
We at the end, y'all.
Socially adept. Listen. Can you be in many social situations and not make me look like a fool? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Make me look a fool.
Listen, like, okay, because this came from, for me, when I was thinking about it, this came from having dated guys who were very much so, this is me, it's who I'm gonna be around your mama, your daddy, your sister, cousin, uncle. It's how I'm gonna be at your workplace. It's how I'm gonna be. No,
please don't.
No, you
I'm not
cannot.
The same person in all those places.
I'm not. I dated this one guy, and it's dumb now that I think about it. This is a really dumb conversation, but I was like, when you meet my uncles, they are going to like try you, whatever. He was like, oh, well, I'm gonna show them that I'm not the one to try. I'm like, no. That's not how that works.
Right.
Like, you have to kind of let the elder men in the family do their thing. You just play along with it. They're not going to disrespect you or, do anything like that. They're just making sure that that protecting me is all of y'all's responsibilities. That's it. But like just little stuff like that where it was like, oh, I can't take you around my family because you're going to disrespect them. And then that's going to come back on me.
Yeah, they're going to like, why does he disrespect you? Why you let him disrespect the...
Exactly. Or like I can't take you to this event at my job because you don't know how to act in a more professional environment because you low-key don't do nothing with professional environments. I was about to say because you low-key be on the streets doing nothing, but because that was the situation back then. Because unfortunately that was who I was dating. But like, I can't take you anywhere. I can't. And people notice it. And it's a little bit embarrassing. It really is.
It is embarrassing. When somebody says something about your partner, you're just like, it's a struggle.
I remember distinctively going to this teacher end of the year, like social event. And the person that I went with, number one, they came dressed like they was not at a high class social event. That was number one. Number two, the interactions and engagements like with people at the event, it was just like bruh, like we are not at, you know, your
The
homies
club.
cookout. Like, I mean, I don't know, but just being able to, and this also goes other ways, okay?
Yeah.
Because my beloved husband is not a social person at all.
Mm-hmm.
So while he can go in different spaces,
mm-hmm.
and he just sits there and he's kind of like low key and chill.
Mm-hmm.
We did have to have conversations about what does it look like for you to go in this space or in this space. Like, is it, you know, can you be a little bit more open about talking to like my boss? Like, because we're in a professional environment, people want to get to know you.
Yeah, they want to be
versus, or even talking to my friends. Like if I'm inviting you to my friend's house and you just kind of sitting in the corner, you know, just eating and doing nothing else, like that's gonna be kind of awkward. So I mean, it can work in a myriad of ways. It's not just like the unprofessional boy off the streets coming into a more professional environment, but just being able to like be like a chameleon. Because I feel like women are pretty good at that.
No,
like,
not all of
not all women.
I know some women who would be like, I'm not taking you nowhere.
No way.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know if I got those kind of friends. We all kind of like, we can go to the club, we can go, you know, to the professional event, we can go to the black tie event, we can go, you know, to different places and we'd be good. I don't know.
Yeah, no, some people I just no man, you're not going with me there. But yeah, I can see that because I personally have not been in a situation like that. But I've been around people who are in situations that are like,
man, it's awkward.
Whoo, if you could hide him right now, you would. Go in my purse.
I ain't bringing you back here ever again.
Just wait for me in the car. I can't. I'm not doing this. But yeah, it's important, I think, that you understand your lifestyle and find someone who will mesh with that. Yeah, I think that goes with it because you cannot be like, I want a guy who ain't never been nowhere nice and expect him to be at high class events every weekend with you. Like, you're gonna have a learning. It's gonna be a learning curve there if he even desires to be in that type of environment. You know, so I think it's important to truly understand your lifestyle, the things that you like to do, and finding someone who can really fit into that. Maybe because they already do those kind of things. Yeah, because that's true too. It will really help. Yeah, I mean, a quiet person versus somebody who just has no clue. It's two totally different things. And, you know, a quiet person, people understand people are quiet, or, you know, introverts and this whole thing. Like, I feel like being introverted is cool now because of social media. Yeah. So people are cool with people being quiet. Like, oh, you're introverted, man? Me too. Like, you're really not. You just want to say that. If you're introvert, you wouldn't even be talking to me right now. No, you be like, I'm an introvert, extrovert. Yeah. Like, which one are you?
I ain't gonna lie, I said that. I'm an extroverted introvert. Nah.
Not really. I'm definitely an introvert.
I'm probably an extrovert. I just get tired of people real quick.
Yeah. So I was just like, so you have to understand what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to be open to teaching. Because, you know, there is going to be a learning. You both have to learn each other and what works for each other. Yeah. So be willing to be a teacher in some things, but know what your bottom line like now.
Absolutely. I think that goes for all of these, with the exception of being, well, I'm not going to say you can't teach somebody to be God-fearing, because I have seen marriages that
I think there's a thin line though of, like, this is the whole thing. Dating to evangelize, like, don't do that now. Don't be like, oh, I can make him a Christian and he only doing certain things because he like you or he trying to get something from you, and then he really not, because it goes different. Back to the donkey and the ox. Like, are you really about to be dragging somebody? Like, like, you don't want to have that effect. But I do think that people can convert, or their relationship with God can grow, and they can go from maybe just spiritual, or like, I believe in God, but I really don't have a relationship, to truly having a relationship. But it truly has to be on their own terms. So always live a life that is an example, because you can definitely lead by example. Yeah. But I wouldn't go into a situation saying he has everything but God-fearing, I'm gonna make him God-fearing. Yeah. That ain't gonna work.
It's not. And you'll lose a lot of your life trying to do it. I've seen that happen with some people in the older generation who I grew up around, who married men who were not, neither of the people were saved, and then the woman got saved and the man never caught up to that. It could be very much a struggle. So, but I do think for the most part, with the exception of being God-fearing, all of these other things can, for the most part, be taught. Maybe not family oriented either. That's kind of
or growth mindset. I don't know.
I think you can teach. I mean, well, scratch. You can teach children how to have a
Right.
growth mindset. So if the man got the mind of a child, maybe
got the mind of a child. I don't know.
Maybe
I'm not the pass on that one.
You can help him. Okay, you can teach someone to be honest. Jesus, can you teach somebody to be honest? Listen, I don't want to make it seem like yes. I don't want to make it seem like none of these things can be changed when you meet somebody.
I think that what can be changed is their willingness to openly communicate.
Yes, communication can absolutely be taught.
All these are based on the fact that if he has a desire to change it, because you can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. So don't stress yourself about that.
I'm trying to give a man more credit than they
probably
desire.
Openly communicate, emotional awareness, and some level of social adeptness. You can kind of teach those. You can kind of feel your way. But again, it also goes back to you making a personal decision about what's acceptable for you. What is your baseline for each one of these?
Yeah.
And then going
and what
from
are you
there.
willing to do? What
does this look like for you? Are you socially adept?
Right.
Are you honest? Are you emotionally aware? Because I just do not believe in any situation that you should expect from someone else something that you're not even willing to grow into yourself. So, these are all things.
This is it, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all are watching. Right, these are the things that we like.
Right.
Love the Lord.
Love them.
Love your family.
Please.
Have some goals that you're actually driving after.
Please.
Have a growth mindset about them.
Yeah.
Be honest. Stop lying to us. God dang.
Or lying to yourself.
Or to yourself.
Or to your family. Or to your job.
You ain't got to play us. Just be truthful. Let us make our decisions based on what we're hearing and seeing from you.
Yeah.
Communicate. Have some sense of your emotions, my emotions.
Yeah.
Because they exist. And then, know how to move in different circles. That's all we asking. That don't sound like a lot to me.
It really not.
It's just 7 things, guys. Just 7.
They're important. I would say they're important. They're 7 important things.
Yeah. But that's it. So jot your list, see where you are.
Yep.
And fix it if you ain't there, because that's why my friends is struggling out here in the streets right now trying to fool y'all.
Oh, I won't say that.
Not you, but some other people maybe.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. Maybe where they're going. Anyway, y'all. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Sisterhood Debrief, where we discuss all things
sisterly,
godly,
and ratchet.
All right, until next time.
Peace.